All right, we're going to do another test here. Um, Unfortunately, my last test, my local AI had a question because it's 11:49, so the day is winding down. So while I was testing this audio thing here, my transcriber overheard my AI talking to me, asking me about my day and the audio here. So anyway, we're just going to get straight to it. So I'm testing this out again. So this is the my local LLM here that I've been building and all the cool stuff it does. And right now I'm focusing on the call assist mode. Let me make sure this is all set up. So what this is going to do right now, it's an interview mode, meeting mode, support mode, learning mode, and sales mode coming soon, and maybe another mode. They're not they don't really do anything different to change it yet. But all of this will be different when you click on meeting mode. The dashboard down here will change, the support mode a little bit, so it's like right now it does nothing, but um, because you're not going to need to build a dossier for the meeting. It'll be, you know, it'll be different. Um, and it'll act differently. It'll take notes differently. It'll do things differently each mode. But right now, we're just building it out, Vibe Koded it one step at a time. And here we go. And I really like Chris Voss and Oren Klaff. So I took these guys and kind of synthesized a little something of them two together and meshed their styles together. And hopefully, if this works correctly, you guys will get to see that too in this video. So without further ado, um, we don't have to build a dossier because I already have one pre-built. Maybe I'll make another video showing and walking you through this process, getting the intel on the company itself. It will analyze the information. It'll do some web searches on the company. It'll create a review. It'll find gaps in your resume compared to the job title. It'll give you reframing, not questions, but statements to use during the interview to, bridge those gaps. It'll give you some other really cool questions and statements and stuff like that based off of the research it finds. And you can approve or not, disapprove whatever it generates, and then put it all together. And then you have a list of potential canned, responses and, canned statements to help the AI make it quicker. And then also it does have the ability to kind of, interpret and come up with its own information that's not just canned responses, but that's a whole nother story. So what we're going to do here is I have a YouTube video of a behavioral mock interview up. Only reason I have that as my audio instead of just me answering the questions is because during an actual interview, that side of the deal, the questions are going to be coming from, not from my microphone. So essentially it's going to be, it can pull audio from Discord calls, Zoom calls, Google Meet calls, YouTube, Facebook Messenger, whatever sound is playing on my computer, it can hear. So I'm going to go mute here. We're going to start this session. We're going to play the first question. It's a pretty simple question, and then they kind of get a little bit more gradually difficult as it goes. So this is the first time testing this through fully. So we're going to see what happens, good, bad, or ugly. So I'm going to mute and let's go.
Hi, I'm Ria. Thank you for coming to interview with us today. Let's just go ahead and get started with a quick introduction. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself? Oh, wow, that sounds like a very impressive background. So, why exactly are you interested in interviewing with our consulting firm? That's good to know. So now we'll dive into a little bit more behavioral questions. So could you tell me about a time where you solved a difficult problem? And could you tell me about a time that you demonstrated strong leadership skills?
Yeah.
That sounds like a very worthwhile experience. So now that we've talked a little bit about your strengths, maybe you could tell me about a weakness that you face in the workforce?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's break this down. Now, um, obviously it did pretty good here on the first question, and as you could see, it already had it there in the live transcript, so I don't know if that's if I didn't fully refresh it from the last video where I tried or what. Um, but yeah, I guess you can kind of call that null and void, but that one was almost like a premonition more than a reaction. But anyway, could you tell me a bit more about yourself? Here you go. So this is from my, essentially from my RAG database or whatever you want to call it. It's like basically just a JSON file or something. Um, but this is like I put my resume in there, some embellished stories about, you know, what I used to do in other companies and jobs and tasks and, stuff like that. So that's not terrible, right? It's just a canned response. Whatever the warning is, I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to look into the terminal for that later. So exactly why you're interested when she asked about, interviewing with us. Honestly, I'm looking for a role where I can apply my attention to detail and work independently, blah, blah, blah. Why I want this job, company interested, join position, key points. Okay, so that's good. The one question, it didn't even respond to it at all, I don't believe, unless this is that question. But we had 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, no, it did miss one. So tell me about a time where you saw the difference. I don't remember that being a question. When I was building out the life insurance department, inherited a beta database, clients. Okay. So, yeah. And now this one, this is about to tell me about a weakness. So, I can be a perfectionist with data accuracy, which sometimes means I spend more time verifying than might be strictly necessary. Okay, not bad. And then now you have the tactical advisory board right down here. So a recommended response, I'll give you a real answer. I can get deep into problem solving and need to consciously check that I'm still aligned with the broader goals. I've learned to build in checkpoints for this. Okay, power move. Give something real, but framed as managed. Never say perfectionism or work too hard. You're probably expecting me to say something like I work too hard, which would be useless. Here's a real one. Am I supposed to say that part? Here's like little coaching tips. Acknowledge the awkwardness and give something genuine but not damaging. So is it saying like, hey, you should maybe lead with this and then say, but I'll give you a real answer. I focus intently on what matters, which means I sometimes have to consciously pull back to see the bigger picture. I've built systems to catch this. Okay, so that's not bad. I mean, and those all hit within, you know, 3 to 5 seconds, and we can go back and check the video. Um, but 4 out of 5 questions is not bad. I would have had to wing the one, and probably if I was expecting my AI to answer it for me, I probably would have sat there with my jaw wide open and my foot in my mouth. But nonetheless, there's version 1 of interview mode, and I'm just going to keep testing it, and I'll have maybe we'll do some real mock interviews where I can actually test this thing with not just the same questions over and over. So I'll have to get some different questions and different scenarios too. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you like about it. I guess if you want to see any of the processes behind the scenes, the vibe coding processes to put it all together. Like I've got Claude here, and I've got um, Claude Code in the VS Studio terminal, Visual Studio terminal, whatever, right? And I just kind of coordinate this one, and then on another screen here, I've got Grok and ChatGPT. Excuse me, there, didn't want to cough in your ear. Um, and then I have, obviously I've got the terminal up here to where I can watch, so I can go back here and see like what it was doing, tactical situation, weakness probe. I can go back here and see like why didn't it, um, I'll do that later, but I'll see why I didn't answer the one question. I'll take that and feed that in to the AI into here. So I'll feed in essentially all of this. Well, not necessarily this section, but whatever section that it failed to answer the question on, and I'll give it the context of the actual question. I'll, say it didn't reference it. What's going on? Why didn't it cue that as a question? Do we need to make it more like if there's a why or a how or a tell me or a explain? If there's certain type of trigger words that should cause it to, parse the data within that time frame or that segment or whatever. Maybe there's a parsing error or issue. I don't know. Um, but all I know is when I say vibe coded, I mean 100% vibe coded. I can't read any of this. I don't know what any of that means. I don't know what any of this means. I don't know what it does. If you told me to go in here and change one of these lines to do this instead of that, I don't know. It doesn't matter. All I know is that the way I orchestrate all these different AIs together and carry the context across different chats, different chat threads, different LLMs entirely, and use it all to put this stuff together, and I can build it, and it works. And it usually works pretty well the first time. Sometimes it doesn't, and it takes hours of debugging. But it is what it is. And that's where we're at so far. And yeah, if you guys like that video, I can go in here and explain a little bit more about the actual, dashboard itself with the LLM, where I can, talk to it. Um, I can explain a little bit more about, what's going on over here.
Yeah,
Whoops, it can see my screens. It